Chapter 3, The Barbarian King. The mountain grew crueler with every step. Jagged rocks jutted from the earth like broken teeth. Snow now blanketed the trail, muffling their boots and chilling them to the bone. The sun rarely pierced the clouds above, and when it did, it cast long shadows that danced across the cliffs like phantoms. Alaric marched at the front, his sword tied across his back, eyes locked on the trail ahead. Behind him, only 10 knights remained, including brother Himon and young Tomas. The rest had been buried in shallow graves among the stones, their names etched into memory and prayer. "We are far beyond any map," Himon said one morning, rubbing warmth into his gloved hands. "Even the Saracens fear these peaks." "They fear what waits beyond them," Alaric replied. Tomas looked up. "What does wait beyond them?" Alaric's eyes narrowed. "A throne of bones." It was midday when they came upon the path. A narrow cut in the cliffside, barely wide enough for 2 men abreast, lined with wooden stakes bearing skulls. The smell of rot and ash filled the air. Runes were carved into the stone, crude symbols that burned red in the fading light. "A warning," Himon muttered. "Turn back or be damned." Alaric spat. "Let them try." They followed the path in silence. After half an hour, the cliffs opened into a vast valley, black and hollow. A fortress of sharpened timber sat in the center, surrounded by tents and bone towers. Fires burned in pits, and the air pulsed with the sound of drums and chants. "The barbarian stronghold," Alaric whispered. From the height, they watched figures dance around flames. Men and women alike wore masks made from animal skulls. Warriors pounded drums while others painted each other in red and white clay. One figure towered above the rest, seated on a throne built of antlers and swords. The barbarian king. He wore a cloak of dire wolf pelts and a crown fashioned from human ribs. His face was hidden behind a jagged iron mask, but his posture was regal and defiant. In one hand, he held a giant warhammer, stained dark from old blood. Tomas trembled. "That's him." "Aye," Alaric growled. "The one they call Volgar the Unbroken." Himon crossed himself. "I've heard tales. Said to be born of fire, raised on the blood of 100 men." Alaric said nothing. His gaze did not waver. "Do we strike now?" Tomas asked. "No," Alaric replied. "We wait until nightfall. Then we find a way in. We'll carve out the king's heart, and the rest will scatter like rats." Night fell slowly over the valley. The firelight below grew brighter, casting wild shadows on the snow. The chanting reached a fever pitch. Somewhere in the distance, a horn wailed, and a sacrifice was offered, a screaming goat thrown into the flames. The knights crept down the cliff under cover of darkness. One by one, they slid through the rocks and snow until they reached the outer palisade. "Split into twos," Alaric ordered. "No torches. No noise. Kill anything that moves." Tomas stayed close to his knight, dagger drawn, heart pounding like thunder. They slipped through a gap in the fence and crawled through the snow. Suddenly, a figure loomed, a sentry. Alaric was faster. In one fluid motion, he grabbed the barbarian by the mouth and drove his dagger into his throat. The man gurgled and slumped without a sound. Tomas stared wide-eyed. Alaric handed him the bloodied blade. "You'll have to do that soon." They pressed on. The inner camp was a twisted labyrinth of tents and bone totems. Skulls hung from ropes. Spears jutted from the ground like dead trees. Alaric led them to a wooden watchtower, then climbed silently. From the top, he saw it clearly, the throne tent, draped in red skins, guarded by 2 massive warriors. "There," he pointed. "That's where Volgar sleeps." Himon joined him. "Getting in will cost blood." "Then we pay it," Alaric said. He turned to the knights. "We strike the throne. Kill the king. Cut the serpent's head. Do not break ranks. Do not run. We end this, or we die. Tomas stood beside him, fists clenched. I'm ready. Alaric looked at him. You've come far, boy. But the path beyond this moment will change you forever. Tomas met his gaze. Then let it. They moved like ghosts through the camp, blades drawn. One knight slit a guard's throat, another tossed a small oil flask into a nearby fire pit. It exploded, drawing screams and chaos. The alarm was raised. Barbarians poured from tents, half-naked, clutching axes and blades. The knights surged forward, meeting them in a violent crash of steel and flesh. Alaric roared, "To the king!" He fought like a storm, sword cleaving through bone, blood splattering across the snow. Himon smashed skulls with his mace, laughing madly as flames licked the air. Tomas darted between legs, stabbing low, driving his blade into thighs and knees. One warrior lunged for him, but the boy ducked, rolled, and drove his dagger into the man's belly. At last, they reached the throne tent. Alaric kicked open the flap. Volgar rose slowly from his throne, towering and terrible. His iron mask caught the firelight like a demon's face. His warhammer hit the ground with a heavy thud. "So," he said, voice like gravel. "The lion comes." Alaric stepped forward. "Volgar the Unbroken. I name you murderer and defiler. I name you oathbreaker and tyrant. By the blood of my brothers and the light of the cross, I end you." Volgar laughed. "Then come, lion. Break your teeth on the mountain." He swung his hammer. Alaric met it with steel. The clash shook the tent. Volgar was monstrously strong, each blow of his hammer sent tremors through the earth. But Alaric was faster, seasoned by war. He ducked, weaved, struck where it hurt. Sparks flew with every hit. Tomas and Himon fought off the guards trying to enter the tent, holding the line. Alaric took a blow to the ribs, stumbling. Volgar raised his hammer for the killing strike. Then, a scream. Tomas threw his dagger. It struck Volgar's side, just beneath the ribs. The king roared in pain. Alaric surged forward, sword flashing. With a final cry, he drove his blade through Volgar's chest. The barbarian king fell to his knees, then collapsed, lifeless. Silence fell. Outside, the remaining tribes saw the body of their leader dragged into the firelight. The knights roared in triumph. The barbarians, stunned, leaderless, broke. They scattered into the dark, howling in confusion and fear. The stronghold was theirs. As dawn broke over the mountains, Alaric stood beside the fire pit, staring into the flames. His armor was cracked, his face bloodied, but his eyes were calm. Tomas approached, limping. "You kept your vow," he said. Alaric nodded. And you made your own." "I did." The knight looked down at the boy. "You've earned your place. When we return, you'll kneel before the altar not as a squire, but as a knight of the Lion Order." Tomas smiled, eyes wide with pride. "And what of the barbarians?" he asked. "They will scatter," Alaric said. "Some will return to their tribes. Some may seek revenge. But they will never be one again. Without Volgar, their strength is broken." He turned to the others, raising his sword to the sky. "This land is free." The knights cheered. The war was not over, but a great darkness had been banished from the mountains.